There's nothing you can do. It's gonna come and go.
Da, 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 da. Okay. We're live. I think we're live. We're pretty much live.
And mic is on, right? Yes, it's obviously on.
It is on. Yes. Let's do this change here. Da, 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 da.
Out of focus? Are we out of focus? Yeah, that's good.
No, we're good. We're good. I think it just like goes in and out. Okay, let's turn on the music. Okay.
Awesome. Hi guys.
What's up, dude?
I'm feeling good. How about you?
Feeling good. It's a little bit late, huh? Don't you think?
It's okay. Yeah, we're doing night session.
Every time we get like, it's always a random time. It's just like, hey, so are you ready to do this? No, I'm doing this. Sorry, let's do it later. We need to get a little bit better at this organization thing. Yeah.
It's okay.
No? I kind of like also like the being spontaneous and suddenly like.
Why not? Why
yeah,
not?
right. Is the cool thing about live stream, right? Suddenly, you can anytime just grab the freaking camera and then, hey guys, we're live.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Cool. Let's see if we have any comments. Hey guys, hi. We're here in San Francisco. Leave in the comments. Just tell us where you're visiting us from, and also if you have any questions. Today we're gonna talk about. What are we gonna talk about?
Portfolios.
Portfolios.
Oh my God.
Such a big
subject.
Big subject. A lot of people are really interested in. I get this question a lot. It's just like people showing me their portfolios and asking me like, is it good? What should I add? What should I remove? What do you look for when you're hiring someone in the portfolio? And like, I don't know, a lot of questions regarding portfolios. If you are like, I don't know, you're wondering about your portfolio, just leave us a question too. And we'll go a little bit deeper into those things, like probably some practical tips.
Yeah.
So probably tell us some experiences, the things
Definitely.
that you have seen.
Definitely.
You as when you're looking for, like for example, you're hiring right now, right? You're I think in your company, so it's a good way to tell us like people like, hey, you know what, this is. Specifically, your company probably is looking for something specifically, in particular, but probably there are some general principles that apply to any portfolio, right?
Yeah, I think we've been in both sides of the table. So, and there are lots of different conditions we can talk about. What kind of we'll be happy to share our experience, and we'll also be happy to answer your questions.
Exactly. So, I think. I don't know. Let's just start with some anecdotes. Like for example, you right now, you guys are hiring someone, and I suppose it's a product designer, right?
Yes, we're hiring product designers.
And you're looking at a lot of portfolios. A lot of people are sending them their links, and
yes,
PDFs, and all that. Is there? I don't know. Like, what do you look for on these guys?
Yeah, I mean. So it very much depends. So there are different times that we do look for different types of product designers, and based on what kind of product designers we look for, it also varies what kind of portfolios or what do we look in portfolios. Say, if you're looking for a product designer that is more user research or data or strategy heavy or UX heavy, then the portfolio that we look from a product designer that has more UI and visual design and prototyping heavy or like experiences is different, definitely.
Yeah. Someone here is saying, hey, Pablo, introduce your partner. So, let's introduce ourselves, probably for some people. I'm Pablo Stanley. Yes. I'm a designer here in San Francisco. And
my name is U Kaner, and I'm also in San Francisco. It's been 4 years for me.
It's been 4 years. It's 4 years. 2 years. 2 years and a half for me.
2 years and a half?
Yeah.
Really? Oh yeah, you were in San Diego before.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I used to live in San Diego. So and we're doing this live stream every Sunday. It's called the Sundaes. So yeah, that's why you're here. But yeah, I suppose a lot of the people that channel.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's important to know who you are. So But I like your hat.
Oh man, thank you very much. I
Very
appreciate
pretty.
your compliment.
Yes.
You look pretty yourself.
Oh yeah, thank you. It's very ad hoc right now because the new Jackie movie is out. And it looks like
that's true.
It looks a lot like the
True.
hat that she used to wear.
Have to watch that movie.
Yeah, I just watched it yesterday. It's
Really?
good.
Is it
yeah,
good?
it's good. We'll discuss about that later.
Yeah.
But I recommend it just like to make your own. I don't know, to make your own critic of it. But love the shirt, Omolowa. Okay, so I think yes, it's usually it's good to know that you look for different things depending on what you're looking for, right?
Because like projects differ, projects vary, and during the time of the startup of a company, you work on different projects, and every project has a different need. Likewise, the companies also have different stages, and the team setup can be different. Such as you can have a complementary team, you can have a specialized team, you can have a one-man team. So definitely the type of people that you look for, very much dependent on the conditions and situations you're in.
Yeah, and I suppose for people that are watching and probably are working on their portfolio, then their portfolio should reflect the things with the job that they're trying to be hired for, right? Just if you want, you know what, probably you have been working on brand identity and marketing and a lot of different things as a designer, then probably in, I don't know, like I've worked in many different things. But if I were applying for a very specific job, probably, or for a very specific position that I want to achieve, then probably I will curate my portfolio to talk more about that, right?
True. Actually,
and that way for you will make, if I'm applying to that specific job for you,
Indeed.
It makes sense for you because like, oh yes, you're applying
Indeed.
for the UX designer job, and I see that you have UX design projects in your portfolio. It makes sense.
Indeed. But to be honest, portfolio is the easiest part. It's very much like any design problem. It's just the execution part, because trying to figure out what you actually want to do is the hardest part. If you're especially a new designer, and there might be lots of things that you might not be sure about or you might be confused about, I think the part that is before the portfolio is harder, such as, okay, realizing what kind of things you want to do, what kind of things you would like to spend time on, what kind of things you would like to grow upon, or what kind of companies you would like to work with, what kind of sectors you want to work in, and how would you like to spend next couple of years of your life, right? And these are very important. And especially if you're a new designer, that's even tougher, because you also need to figure out, you might not have as much experience or things to put in your portfolio.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just really preparing the portfolio is the easy part. It's just.
I don't know about that. I don't know if it's the easiest. Oh, okay. Our light turned off. Let me see what's going on with our light. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Wow. That is not okay. Let me change this. I am very sorry about this. Technical problems. It's late at night. Obviously, we're gonna have technical problems. Let's see if we can.
Okay.
Look
Hope
in a
do
little
you
bit
guys
better.
see us? Do you guys see us?
So yeah, they can see us. Let me. I'm the worst. It's always this or always that, huh? The good thing is we have a backup plan here. Let me change the light of this. And there you go. Just a little bit
should be
more.
better.
Should be better. We're not the best organizers.
That's okay.
There you go. Just a little bit better. Sorry about the technical difficulty. It's the magic of live television, of live internet live streaming. Okay, cool. So yeah, that is a good. I mean, that is a top problem. I always get like junior designers or people that are just starting, and they will tell me like, oh, okay, yeah, the portfolio. Yeah, I'm using the Squarespace or I'm using WordPress or I don't know, whatever. That is not the hard part. The hardest part is the actual content that you're going to put, right?
Yeah.
If you haven't, it's like, so what am I going to put in my portfolio? I haven't actually worked on anything. So,
chicken and egg problem. But even before that, because, okay, so there is only one solution to do that, right? Like you have to create something.
Yeah.
But even before that, you need to identify what you want to do and then create things like towards that, right?
Yeah, I think it's whenever a junior designer asks me, or someone that is aspiring to get into the field, so what do I do? And I just don't know, man. It's just like I'm sorry, but like follow your dreams. I don't know. It's but in a way, it is that, right? Because I would say for me, it wasn't about building a portfolio. It was more about working on the things that I really like to work on. And the portfolio became a portfolio organically, right? Whereas suddenly I was really interested in working with different bands and different musicians. So suddenly I had a ton of artwork that I made illustrations for different musicians and stuff because I really wanted to do that. And so it is a lot. It has to take a lot of that. About the things that you want to work on,
Pretty
like
much,
you're saying,
pretty much.
and sometimes sorry, but you're probably not gonna get you probably want to work at a big company right now, but you're not gonna get that. So probably work on your passion project first. Probably work on with a friend that is also working on something very creative, and they will appreciate your also your contribution to make. Probably they need an album. Probably they need a website. Probably they need, I don't know, probably it's a band that needs their own app, or they need to make a video, whatever that is. And it's at the end, it's like you're and approach those problems with a design thinking, you know?
Yeah.
And then you can put those things in your portfolio, because I think in the portfolio, it's okay if it was just a passion project. You weren't what you're showing is not. At least for me, it's not. You're not showing an app from a big company. It's more about how you approach the problem and how you solved it and what was the final result, and did you talk to people, what things did you try before having that final production. And then I don't know, it's hard, right? Because
It is not that easy. Like, I mean, definitely, it's not an easy job, especially if you're right there at the beginning. But it's not only regarding your career. In lots of things, you're at the beginning before you gain experience. So, what I realized, there are two things, like two main paths people take. Like yourself, for instance, that they keep on doing things that they like to do, and then in the end, they go towards a direction where they naturally that they naturally lean towards, right? This is one way of doing things. It might not always work because, first of all, it is rare. Like it's an artsy way. Like you're an artist, you keep on creating things that you like to do, and then in the end, it maybe becomes a job for you. So this is one path. Or there's another way where you actually design your career path. That is more well thought and planned. Okay, like if you're very much sure, if you don't know where what you want to do, I think the first way is very great, that you just do what your heart wants to. And then if you more or less have an idea what kind of direction you want to take, or what kind of companies you want to work with, what kind of fields you're interested in, then you can start designing your career actually, which is a very exciting path. Like for instance, can you name 3 companies that you would love to work at? Or can you name 3 people that you find really inspirational and you would like to work with them? Or can you name 3 fields where you feel really passionate about, such as VR, AR, AI, that you could do? So once you identify that, then you can start designing where you want to go towards. So these are 2 main paths that I usually have observed.
Yeah, find your interest and then find opportunities in those things that really interest you.
Indeed.
Right?
Say you are interested in a company, it's a new startup. I don't know, maybe they're doing chatbots, right? Say you want to get there and get to work with them. First of all, it's nothing personal. Companies have different times, they have different needs, and it is more or less, it has to be at a time that they're looking for someone. But my biggest advice is that even though you might want to go work for a company, concentrating on building relationships, because it might not be the best time when you apply to them. But in a very simple case, you can create a maybe case for them. Like, hey guys, I just took a look at your app and I realized it's a great app. I came up with a couple of ideas and then created a case study. This is how I approached it, and here's a couple of prototypes. Here are visual designs, right? Like when you have a like clean goal or clear goal, you have certain paths to achieve that.
Yeah, I mean, at the end, don't do these things unless you are actually finding a problem that needs to be solved.
Sure.
Usually, I frown upon like redesigns of companies. Like a redesign, I've seen like the IMDb redesigns or new Google or new Gmail like redesign. It's like, dude, do you understand that there's a design team behind this, and then all of your ideas have probably been explored, and if they haven't done it this way, it's because of a lot of things, a lot of factors that involve design solutions. And right now, you come with your fancy, really good looking designs ready to post and dribble. It's like, no, dude, are you actually solving a problem? You know, I like it when it's like, hey, I've been a user of this software. I've been a heavy user, and I realized that there's something there, that an opportunity that I see, you know, and then try to solve that opportunity. But like usually redesigns, I'm pretty sure like whoever sees redesigns, I don't know, like it's almost like, who are you? Get out of here! No, I mean, you don't know anything. I'm sorry, but no.
Yeah, sure, we're like.
Go out. You know what? There's a redesign that probably some people that will appreciate your redesign. I don't know, a charity, a nonprofit, another organization that will actually appreciate you coming and trying to solve a problem. No, I'm sorry, but no. It's just like all these redesigns are really ill conceived and.
I mean, it's okay, but you know, like there's no one way of doing things. Yes, I understand. You can always go and redesign something that might be solving a problem, but say that charity or that small company that you're redesigning, no one else but that company might care what you're doing. But if you did redesign IMDb or
well, that's
Google,
good. Okay, hold on. So you're saying that
no, so like,
that
it depends on your goal.
Depends on Google or a Facebook sees your shitty design than someone that probably will appreciate it.
What I'm
they
saying
will
is
probably
that
make
if your
a better
goal
impact.
is to get visibility toward like by more people, then I would redesign YouTube. But if I just want to have like one company that I really want to work for, then I would just go and do something for them.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like those redesigns. Whenever I see those redesigns, I just like downvote them.
Oh man,
it's just like I'm sorry, but stop doing those things. Go and solve a real problem. You know, don't solve YouTube's problem. They go and apply to them, but don't try to solve their problems. They already have a design team that are doing those things.
I mean, I know lots of large design teams that and the product still has some problems.
Yeah, that's okay. But
I mean,
I don't know.
I
think it's an easy shortcut, just like to get attention, and I don't like those.
I mean, maybe that like, person might be loving YouTube.
Yeah,
I mean, I use YouTube every day. I spend hours and hours.
And I'm not saying YouTube is perfect and doesn't have design problems that need to be solved.
So okay,
I'm just
to
saying
be honest,
that it's seeing that in a portfolio, I would like instantly close it. I would be like, stop it.
Okay,
who are you? Did you talk to them? Did you talk
a hypothesis.
to their actual users? You actually did some research. That is your design backed up by actual data? It's like, no, sorry, but it's because you like suddenly said, I'm going to make a better YouTube. Get out of here.
No, why not? Okay, here's a hypothesis. At any moment, every perfect product would have something to be improved. Improved, like big. Okay, one thing we have to know. I think we both could acknowledge that every large company has to balance between business and users, right?
Yeah.
So in every large product, there will be certain parts of the product that will be a little bit more business driven than the user driven.
Yeah.
So you can always identify those parts and make more towards the users. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's great for the company, but it might mean that it is better design.
But you as just a user don't know what the company goals are. It is really hard to know those things.
Okay.
You don't know what the team.
Okay, say that there is a product who keeps on collecting email addresses, right? And then that maybe that is good for user experience, but that obviously might have business implications as well. So you can always just talk about how to make that user experience better. So I had that kind of small hunch that there is always something to improve on any product.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. I just say that it is not.
I hear harder.
Usually, I think that I have seen too many redesigns out there that are just like, you don't know what you're talking about.
Highly likely.
And I'm pretty sure from all the crap, there are people that actually care about the problem and they're trying to solve. And there's not about like how it looks or how it feels.
So look at this. Like I work for a company called MimiBucks, right? We sell cosmetics online, beauty products online. And I love when someone approaches to me, hey, I took a look at your website and I love it. I use it and I resonate with it in this or that way.
Different from putting it out there to get visibility. That is totally different from you. It's reaching out to you because it's targeted to you. That is telling you like, hey, I care so much about your product that a product that I noticed this thing that could be improved. And obviously you're gonna, I mean, unless you're an asshole that you're like, like you don't tell me what to do. I suppose. Then you're gonna appreciate it and you're gonna see like, okay, how do this person actually solve that problem?
But that person is not going to get eyeballs, right? But the reason, might that be the case? The reason why you see so many YouTube, Google, Facebook redesigns because you end up seeing them, right? Yeah. Because it reaches more people, because it gets featured here and there, people praise on it, so if I wanted to reach more people, I would go and redesign those sites. But if you wanted to reach me, you would just perhaps design what I'm interested in, right? So it's targeted versus a little bit like wide audience.
Okay, let's move on because we're not ever gonna.
Okay, let's move on.
Let's move on. I think we agree on some things.
Exactly. So there's no one way of doing things.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Is there any question about your junior portfolio facet? So another thing, we're talking about like how to build your portfolio when you're a junior designer, and we talked about like probably focusing on the things that you want to the things that interest you, and probably approach those things in like in projects or the companies, or probably I was saying also like a passion project, and probably find opportunities in that way. Not kind of a shortcut to build your portfolio has always been like the hackathons, joining hackathons, and then suddenly you will have a problem that could have been solved in a weekend, right? So what do you think about those when you see hackathon projects on portfolios?
I think it's positive.
Okay.
Because that indicates that that person actually took a step, initiative, and then went to join an event, and they created something as a team. Yeah. And not an individual work only. It requires involvement more than one person.
Exactly.
So it's great.
So I think the same. Whereas it's a hackathon and it requires a lot of you, to join a hackathon, and suddenly you're in a short amount of time, you have to solve a problem, you have to build something and put it out there, ship it. And then not only that, but sometimes you have to work with people that you don't know. Okay. And then suddenly in a weekend you need to build, not just use your hard skills like I'm great on Sketch, but I'm not really good at collaborating with other people. And so working on a hackathon on a successful product, that tells positive. A lot about you being able to talk to people and probably even be, since I'm pretty sure usually in hackathon teams there's only one designer probably, right? It's one designer and probably two engineers, or depending on the project. So in a way you're kind of being a leader in that small group, but you are being the one that is making those design decisions, probably in product decisions, right? So I think it demonstrates a lot when I see those. Sometimes you see projects that are not as good, so then
I agree.
It's shitty, but but when you see a really cool project that was just made in one weekend, I always like, wow, really? You just made that in one weekend? That's pretty cool. And so I actually, some people frown upon those things, but I suppose it's like you were saying on the delivery of it. I don't know.
I think how you deliver is very important.
So yeah, I would say answering to the question here, I usually I say thumbs up if
I mean, design has to be good too.
Exactly, of
It has to
course.
solve a problem. You have to be able to communicate how you did approach that problem. How did you solve that problem? What were the challenges you came across? What kind of alternatives you experimented with, and why did you end up with the design that you like came up with and such?
Yeah.
We can also like a couple of things about portfolio as to describe what is like how to create a portfolio. I think it is also a good way that we can approach is what not to do with a portfolio.
So yeah, I mean, I took some notes here. So something that I was
There are some notes there.
Yeah. So I think something for example, here I actually took a note of what you were saying. Look, I was going to talk shit about like redesigning stuff. I was already ready to do that. Whereas like, don't show me conceptual work unless your conceptual work, you actually involve other people. If it's just all coming out of your ass, I'm sorry, but no, I don't like that. If you actually approach people and if it is, obviously if it's better, if you actually talk to the people on IMDb and you actually knew what their problems are, or you probably talk to users.
How about this? How about like maybe that person interviewed 5 people who really use IMDb and identified some problems.
Okay, that's a step in the right direction.
Right.
Yeah. But
so let's not cut down those.
have you ever seen a portfolio where you see that they're obviously lying?
Oh, I try to take it in a positive direction.
So you have, or I feel like
Lying in what way?
So lying, and there are many, I suppose, different ways. One is like obviously the worst will be that they're saying that you did something you actually didn't do it. And I think
I've never come across that. Have I?
I think
Maybe I didn't know.
I have seen. It's okay to, for example, it's okay to use templates for your for portfolio. If you don't know how to code, so it's okay if you buy a nice template from Squarespace or for WordPress or whatever. But then don't use templates for your actual design. Then suddenly you're using a template for a logo, and it's like, I'm pretty sure that's a template, or I'm pretty sure I've seen this out there. I don't know. I'm seeing people that actually use those, dude, and it's so obvious. It's like, don't lie. It's better if it's looking, I don't know, just we will know. And also sometimes you have to, it's good to tell what part of a project you worked on.
Oh, because, it's great. Yeah, definitely.
Because sometimes you show something that looks amazing and it just looks like a huge project, and it's like, wow. So hold on, what part of this project were you involved? And then you realize like, oh, I was the one that designed this little button, but you're presenting this huge thing, and it's like, hold on.
Yeah, it helps.
So I don't know. It's just like it's good to state what part of the project you worked on, and then talk about that specific problem, right? It's obviously it's good to show the whole thing finished because you contributed with a team. So, but don't show it as this whole thing is mine. It's like, because we know that it's not true.
True. It would definitely worth to tell what was the part, what kind of tasks you worked on, and what kind of challenges you come across. You can make value of everything. I think honesty is one of those core things, so I assume it. Okay, one thing I can tell. I know that in San Francisco we have lots of schools like design. How would you say that? Academies, right? There are a lot of design academies, so new designers come out of.
Yeah, and then are you talking about like different problems that the projects that they?
There's one thing that I come across a lot.
Yeah.
So 5 people have the exact same portfolio.
Oh.
Have you ever come across that? Like,
No.
I think because they work, maybe like 3-4 people work on the same project, and then they put on their portfolio exact same project, and they don't tell you what part of that project they worked. And we remember, even though we see thousands of things, we remember what projects we've seen, and it becomes familiar. Then like, oh my god, that's exactly the same thing. Then that becomes a disadvantage. So definitely might help to point out.
I have seen a lot of portfolios of people that redesign Slack, but
Slack?
that they design Slack, and they're like, hold on. I just saw another portfolio of someone that claimed that they worked on the design of Slack. But what they're saying is that they were part of the team that designed, like when Slack launched and they had their design. Like I have seen portfolios where it's like, hold on, and that just has happened to me. Whereas like they don't state exactly what part of the project they worked on. So. And they're all claiming like they were the ones that did the whole thing, and it's like, come on, no. So one of you is lying, of course, or you're both like hiding. You're not telling the whole truth.
I would call it oversell, but
yeah, overselling. So don't oversell, I guess.
Don't oversell. I think it's good to be. You know what? I think it goes a long way to be vulnerable. There's no problem that, hey, look, just I have done this one, but there are also important impact of this, because every design should have an impact. It should be solving a problem, no matter what part of that design problem you took. I'm sure that you solved the problem, so as long as you explain that, it should be fine.
What if the team acted as generalists throughout the process? How do you describe what your role was? Well, describe that. I mean, describe that.
I mean, even though you're all generalist, you have to do something. Like you have to take a part.
Yeah.
And then I don't think that you can you? Like do exactly the same thing?
I mean, I've seen companies that actually they would give the same problem to different designers. And then they don't communicate between them.
That's okay, but you can always show that, hey, this is how I approached the problem, this was my solution, and this is how my other colleague approached the problem.
Yeah, we worked in parallel, and then probably at the end, we actually blended my ideas with his
It's
ideas.
impossible to do the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm sure that if there are two people involved, they do two different things.
Yeah.
I mean, even though the outcome might be the same, they might have a different approach.
Yeah.
And if by coincidence you end up doing exactly the same thing, I think this is an interesting story to tell.
So, talking about stories, like it's always now, hey, on your, it's always I always hear this where it's that in your portfolio, don't just show pretty pictures, tell a story, and sometimes they even ask. I've seen colleagues that they're asking for, they want to see the design process before or. Almost like every piece of your portfolio, almost show it as a case study. What do you think about that?
Yes, I mean, first of all, if I see a portfolio that there are only photos, I usually pass.
You pass?
Obviously. I mean, photos don't mean anything to me. I have to understand what was the problem and what kind of solution you brought it. I mean, at least there has to be something. And there is no way that I can understand everything looking at a photo, unless your photo has explanations. I don't know.
Yeah, I think for me, I usually understand the idea of showing your process, but at the same time, it's like a lot of the process. I assume that you took that you actually went through the design process to solve your problem. You know, so show me, don't tell me. For me, it's more like. For me, the more you can avoid words, the better.
Really?
For me, it's like if you can tell a story of graphically, where it's like, hey, you know what? This is how I put on my wireframes, and then this is how I interviewed people. These are my sketches. These are all the different solutions that I tried. Tell me, but do it briefly. If you want to tell me in a case study, put a link to Medium. You know, put a link to Medium, and then probably I'll read it. But don't try to include a full book in your portfolio. Your portfolio has to have an impact, a visual impact, because you're also a designer. So if you want to tell a story, tell it visually. Show me, don't tell me. I'm sorry, but I am like that. If there's add me a link if I am more interested into this, into reading deeply into this. Here's a link to that. Do you really read all those case studies from?
You know,
do you have the time for that?
I would. I mean, a designer who's coming to me with Medium articles are highly likely to get hired than a designer who just sends me photos.
But again, I'm telling you, in the portfolio, it is very different from a Medium article. Medium article, it is that, right? Where you're talking about.
It depends. Like, for instance, if I'm looking for a visual designer, To be honest, I might not need
No,
words.
but it's not just so a designer is okay. So let's talk about like a designer that where you need to see words more than pictures.
Yes, anything but visual designer, I need to see words.
You expect more words than pictures.
Not more. I just need an explanation.
Yeah, but again, I'm not saying don't explain your. Obviously, explain your design process. Explain how you solve the problem.
Okay, say for instance, you design a button. That's a UI problem, or that's a UI component, right? I need to see why and how you ended up with that button design.
You need a case study for the button? I'm sorry, but no. I need. You need to tell me what were the problems. Who were the people that you talked about? The stakeholders you probably talked with. If you did any research, what were your findings? Is this problem still going on?
And you want to hear about that without any words?
There's some words, but I don't want to see all the data. I'm sorry, but
Really?
I don't have the time to read it.
Oh, I see.
Do you have the time? You actually take the time to read those things?
Yeah, I take hiring seriously. I read everything.
No, I'm sorry, but you don't.
Really?
You do not read everything.
I mean, it depends. Like, first of all, if I received hundreds, I don't read all of every portfolio, like down to the every word. I usually pass through, and I'm looking for certain things, right? Maybe then I reduce it to 10 people. Then out of 10 people, maybe there's like 6 people left. Then I read everything.
Okay, then, but once you got there, those people could have added like more information about this, and then there's a Medium article about it if they need to do that.
I don't know. Like, give me an example. Like, I can really tell you one photo, and I can like a lot of things. It means more to me than a whole portfolio.
I don't know, man.
Images.
A lot of people say that a picture it's worth 1,000 words.
True, but those 1,000 words are different words to everyone. I need one path, one thinking, one process.
I don't know. I need a title. I need a subtitle. I need a photo that tells me a story. I can scroll down, go to the next one, and then later, you know what? I'm going to call the person if I'm really interested. I'm going to call them, and then like, okay, let's talk about what your design thinking was. Let's talk about this because I'm sorry, I don't have the time to read your shit. I don't have it, and probably if I'm interested, link me to something, but I don't have the time.
Really? Okay.
No, dude, I'm sorry, but I have shit to do. Don't you have shit to do?
I do, but I do spend considerable amount of time for recruiting.
Talk to them. Sometimes it's better you get right away, just like, hey, so what was here? Oh yeah, they're gonna tell you an anecdote, and then you're gonna grab coffee. It's gonna be really interesting because then you get to know a little bit more about their soft skills. Then it's not just about their writing skill. I don't know. I feel like I seen portfolios that they're case studies and just like words after words after words, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to read it.
Just forward them to me. I'm happy to read.
Okay, I'll forward them to you, and I suppose we're looking for different people. Okay. No, and I'm not saying that this is I'm sorry.
I think what comes out of this is every person or every hiring manager has different criterias. Yeah, right.
That's
so
true.
maybe there's no one way of preparing those portfolios, and I think it might be worth to figure out.
I think at the end, if you like writing and you really like about explaining your process and you think it's very important to put in your portfolio, then you're going to find the person that appreciates those things. You know, at the end, if it does speak about your personality, then it's good to include it. Don't rule it out, because at the end you're going to find someone that really appreciates those things and that is going to hire you.
I agree. I think this is a part of finding the right match. So a person who has lots of explanations and that can represent their design thinking to me, higher likelihood that I will be interested in them. So there will be a good match. A person who has very good visuals and very maybe a great design sense, maybe not necessarily a lot of words explaining them, might naturally...
if you're someone that can tell a story visually and can with briefly, simply tell me what actually happened without linking me to 2,000 words, I will appreciate that, because you're making my life easier. And then later, if I need to talk to you, I'll talk to you. You know.
I see.
So it is. You're like you're saying, it's finding that match, right? So don't pretend.
Yeah, I think it's good to be yourself.
Because some people tell you that they need an article in their portfolios. Don't say like, oh crap, I don't like writing articles, but I suppose I'm going to write them because this other person likes them. Well, probably you won't like working with that person.
Might be, yeah,
you know?
Might be.
If you don't like doing that stuff, then make your portfolio reflect the kind of work you want to do.
I would agree with that.
Right?
I think pretending doesn't go that far.
Yeah.
And sooner or later, yeah, you might get the job. You definitely might get the job if you go very targeted, but you might not stay in that job for too long.
You gotta be
sooner
miserable.
or later, you're gonna be want to be yourself, right? Okay. Hey, we actually. How long do we have?
Okay, so wow, we already. Okay, so I have some notes, and we can go
go through that. Yeah.
So. Yeah, I actually, one of my notes was you show more than pretty pictures. It tells about your problem solving, but also show, don't tell. That was one of my tips. Whereas that share a pic of your nose, tell a visual story, and keep the words to a minimum. Something that I think it's a big mistake in a lot of that adding a ton of things. You're saying like, oh, I'm going to put all of my projects into my portfolio so it looks full.
That usually doesn't end up very well.
Yeah.
You might want to be very targeted.
Yeah, and share the stuff that you're most proud of, right? You just like go for quality, not for quantity.
Yes.
I think it's a good advice, right? Whereas
Yes.
you keep it consistent and highlight the best stuff. Sometimes when you share something that is not as good, then everything else will be measured to that same level. You know, you will, so it will affect your best work if you're sharing mediocre
I mean,
work.
I would definitely suggest to put your best foot forward,
of course,
right?
it makes sense. So something where it's like we're thinking that the kind of work you want to be hired for. So it's your work to reflect that. You were just saying that you don't really presentation. Let's talk about presentation.
Okay.
Come on, make it look good. It has to look good. It has to look.
I mean, yeah, obviously.
It is. You're a designer.
Unless
Yeah.
I am looking for just particularly a person who I don't expect doing UI or visual design.
No, I'm sorry, but no. You have then. I don't understand this. Where it's like, if you're not really if you don't have aesthetics, if you don't value aesthetics, I'm sorry, but you're not a designer. You're not. Even if you're a design researcher, you should still value aesthetics. You should still value the functionality of your website where it feels good. I don't know. Then you're just a researcher. You're not a design researcher. You're not a designer.
Really?
Yeah.
I would challenge that.
I challenge it. I don't care. I'm sorry, but if you don't value those things, if you don't really value presentation, I don't know.
Okay, I personally believe that everyone is a designer, and they not necessarily have to be a visual designer. That's simple.
No, but I'm saying that is the
I mean,
minimum.
it's
that
okay
you
if
should have.
I mean, depending on what profile I'm looking for, that person doesn't necessarily need to know just great about typography, doesn't have to know necessarily like use of white space. I mean, obviously there are designers that I look for that portfolio, and that is important, but there are also type of designers that I don't mind.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, they should have at least to be smart to buy a template that is going to do that for them.
Oh.
If you don't even buy a template if you don't have the good enough taste to buy a template,
I see.
Get out of here.
So if it is outdated, if it is very, very poorly done, first of all, not because of the design, but because that person doesn't pay attention to details, it wouldn't pass through my filter, right? I would like someone who cares about what they do. If I see some effort, and even though it doesn't look great, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I suppose it's more about a reflection that they care.
Yes,
that's all.
If you cared, but you still are not the best like visual or UI designer out there, it's okay with me.
Yeah, you could. You're right. The filter will be up because at the end you're looking for something very specific.
Exactly.
But if it looks like crap, I'm sorry,
Yes,
but that
yes.
is going to be really hard for me.
I've seen, like, I think 5% of the portfolios I see look like from 90s. Like, unfortunately, it happens. Like, but I don't know, if you're going to apply for a job, pay some attention, spend some time, respect the person that's taking a look at that, and maybe update it. Not like your last work is from 2013.
I feel real bad.
I
Because,
bet you worked 3 years.
my portfolio actually looks like crap. My portfolio, I haven't updated it
Okay,
in a
I have
long
hard
time.
times believing that.
And no, it does. It is crap.
Man.
And because I haven't updated it in a long time. So, but if I were tomorrow looking
Okay.
for a job, I would probably update it. Here I'm giving advice on your portfolios, and mine looks like shit. Like,
That's okay. You know, like, people usually update their portfolios when they're change jobs, right?
Yeah.
And if you haven't changed jobs for a while, or if you change jobs without needing to apply for a job, it might be that your portfolio might be outdated. But if you're applying to me, I expect that you're looking for a job and you update your portfolio.
Yeah. So I'm talking about the things that I look in other people's portfolios. Don't look at mine. Sorry, don't look at ours. Everything seems quite subjective. Yeah, that's right, Francesca. You are totally right. A lot of the things it's depending on the person. It's depending on the also on the job that you're trying to apply for, and it's probably the manager, probably the team, probably the culture of the company, probably what they're trying to achieve. So it's so yeah, a lot of those things are quite subjective. I think. I suppose a way to approach it in a way that is not as subjective, and there people are just going to focus on your actual work, and your work is going to take center stage, is if you use a template that is as clean as possible. You know,
Yeah,
where
minimalism goes a long way.
Yeah,
you don't need much.
You don't need flashy animations. You don't
Like, it's okay, man. Like, just take a look. You might not be great at visual design, but if you take it seriously that you're looking for a job, you can always ask people, like, can you help me with this? Or, like, there are lots of, like, programs out there. I'm sure you have peers. I'm sure some of your peers might be better at visual design or UI design than you. I would ask for help. This actually shows also it's okay. Hey, I didn't design it, but I got help from a friend. I think this reflects a good quality in that person or that candidate, right? Do we have
insane potential, but may not
Shall
be
we go
able to
from
express.
the questions before we end?
Yeah. So a lot of people are agreeing with you, whereas they're saying like, hey, aesthetics are not important, dude. Visuals are not important. I'm sorry, but apparently you're a shitty designer. And
Don't say that. Shh, hello.
I'm kidding. Yeah. But no, usually when you hear people say like, oh, visuals are not important, it's like, I'm pretty sure because you're bad at that.
No. I mean, depends. Like, visuals might not be important if the type of designer I'm looking for is not necessarily have to be a visual designer, right?
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. I mean, we will read in between lines. We're going to be able to identify talent, right? And that's okay. It's just like, don't pretend. Like, if it's not good,
that's right.
As you said, you don't have to try to look like more than you are. Just, you can be okay with it. Hey, just here is like my portfolio. It's not visually great yet.
About the presentation. I care about the details. And,
Sure.
and it's okay. And sometimes you can keep it just minimal and simple. At the end, if your work is words and research, then put that in center stage and use a template that is going to help you present that in the better way.
Yes.
So it is that. It is caring about that format. Your medium is very important.
That is true. I mean, if you're a designer, first of all, you should be able to assess a problem. And that might be your problem. You might not be great at visual design. And if you actually are potentially a good designer, I would expect you to approach that problem as a design problem and then solve it, right?
Yeah.
So that would definitely be a good representation of a great quality.
Yeah. Okay. Any more questions?
There are lots of questions there. Let's do. So,
I'm getting myself in trouble.
No. People know that you're help joking.
A lot of people love explaining their reasoning behind every decision, and that's great. I think I I don't disagree with that. It's good to explain how did you achieve something, you know? How did you get to that decision? Why, what other things did you try before that? And I'm just saying that
Yeah.
if you can avoid a long article and actually tell this story, how you made that decision
This is
in
a
way
great,
that is
yeah.
a little bit more visual.
I think I feel you, because that's right. Be not, if you have the skill, if you have the talent, and if you can tell something with less words and have the same impact, I think that's an amazing skill.
Yeah.
It's just that information has to exist there, right?
Be brevity, you know? Simplicity.
Yeah.
Just keep it.
They're always like, you can simplify,
Yeah.
right? So there's someone who asked, like, what makes a portfolio unique?
I suppose.
And
I
then
mean, I want to say that
he or she also continues that I've heard that a lot of portfolios are like templates because schools teach the same projects year after year.
Oh, I see. So they all have the same problems that they're all.
Yeah, you know, we talked about this, that I came across to lots of portfolios that are similar, right?
Yeah.
And believe me, uniqueness doesn't come from the look and feel. I think uniqueness comes from more or less what we talked with you today, that you actually explain what part you took. And then when you took that part, from your perspective, what kind of challenges you've seen, what kind of things that you have observed that maybe made your contribution more valuable. I think that's totally okay, because to be honest, I don't believe that if like there were 5 teams that approach the same problem, those 5 teams won't have the same post-it notes. Or those 5 teams won't have the same wireframes.
Sketches.
Exactly.
They didn't talk to the same people.
Exactly. Or they didn't really find out the same. They might not even end up with the same result, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's okay to work on the same problem. It's just not okay to have the same result, all of them.
Yeah.
Or like if you don't explain what part you took, it's impossible for us to know what your skill sets are.
I think it's what makes a portfolio unique is if it sometimes you're able in your portfolio and in your work to reflect yourself. You know, you reflect your personality. The more you actually, because people are not just hiring your skills, your hard skills, they're also hiring your soft skills. You know,
Oh, man,
they're hiring
yeah.
a person.
Oh,
you
yes.
know?
So,
that person that is going to be with them. They're
Yes.
going to have lunch. They're
Yes.
probably going to have a drink.
Yes,
They're going to be
indeed.
collaborating.
That's very
in
important.
projects.
So I have a how would you call this? 3 circles. Like there's one core circle and then another circle around it and another circle around it. And this is a core value for me when we are hiring people. And at the core of it, there's personality.
Yeah.
That
Culture,
personality has to be, it's very important, because in the end, we're going to be sitting with that person next to each other. We're going to be like going through hard times with that person. We're going to maybe celebrate great times with that person. So that personality is core. And then that's most important. If this doesn't fit, like, you know what, how many people I had to, even though they were amazingly talented, because that personality didn't really match. I don't really mean that their personality wasn't good. It just didn't match.
Yeah.
We couldn't really work with that person.
Yeah.
And then that personality is in the core. And then the next one is attitude. Like, you don't have to be great at everything, but when you are facing challenges, how you react to this is very important.
Yeah.
And so personality, attitude, then comes the skill set.
The skills. Yeah.
Exactly. And skills is the last thing. And if the personality and attitude, they don't match, skills, at least from my perspective, doesn't make that much of a difference.
Yeah, usually just with a glimpse, you get to see the hard skills, right?
Yeah.
You get to, just by scrolling right away, you get to see like, oh, okay, cool. So they do know how to use these programs. They know how to use this. They know how to apply iOS patterns. So they know how to use material design. But then you start getting deeper, and then you start reading, like you're saying, the words, you know, and then you're like, okay, so let's with whom this person collaborate. So were they able to be empathetic with their user, be empathetic with the goals of the company?
Sure.
And then after that, then there's those details that tell more about the person, right?
Sure. And this is not necessarily only for us. Look, I don't think that it is a one-way thing. I see interviews or hiring process as a bi-directional process, because Yes, we're going to get a value from a person, but I also feel responsible that we should be giving value to that person too.
Yeah, of course.
So if I cannot really see a bi-directional relationship working, I would feel responsible to I would feel bad to let that person to work in get into a relationship that wouldn't work at first place. So I think it's very important.
Yeah, it has to be a match for both, not just for the company.
There's one question to Paulo. Do you not agree that process is more important than the final design in terms of people early in their career? That's from Jeremy. And he says that he asked this question partially because he loves explaining his process and the thinking behind every decision. That is his favorite part.
Oh, again, it's I think it is. I'm just assuming that you actually went through a process. Like when I see something in your portfolio, I am not questioning that you went through a process. If you want to talk about the process, all I'm saying is minimize the amount of words that you use to explain your process, and just like try to tell it in a brief story. That, at least for me. And if you really want to. And again, this is just me. It's subjective. I know for a lot of people it might be totally different. For me, it's like if I am really interested in actually reading your words, add a link to it. I'd say like, hey, here's the full case of it. I wrote a Medium article where I even contributed with someone else that also wrote a part of it, and that would be great. If I really wanted to actually read more about your design thinking and into the nitty gritty details, then yeah, I will read your article, and you're free to talk about those things. The idea is that you will find the match that it also cares about those things that you care, right? So the person that also cares about those things will find your portfolio really interesting. And I'm not saying that I don't care about those. I'm just saying that I don't have the time to read those things. I don't have the time right away. If you add a link, probably
Sure.
I'll read it, or probably, you know what, I'll actually email you or call you and ask you those things. And yes, I will give you an opportunity to tell me, why did you make the decision? What was your process? Hold on. So who do you work with? Who do you talk? I will be very excited to talk about those things. I'm just saying that right there in your portfolio, sometimes for me, is not the right place to share everything. It's just be very elegant about what you show.
I hear you. Fair enough. Augustine asks, what are the 5 common questions you will be asked in a UI UX interview? So perhaps we can give three of those questions you ask frequently, and I can give 3 questions that I ask frequently.
I want to say that I ask about the tools, but I usually I ask about the tools because I love to nerd about the tools that you use, and whenever I find someone that also nerds out about that, I like it. I like it, but it won't be as important, I think it's yes, I will actually ask about like, hey, so how what were the things that failed? I really like the stories of failures, and when you found that a solution didn't work out, and then suddenly how do you take that? Did you have to work with, I don't know, at what stage did you realize that you were failing? And I don't know, tell me that story. I like hearing those stories, and because it tells you a lot about your process without asking about your process, right? It's a very things change, so I want to see how are you going to deal with change, how are you going to deal with tomorrow, things being totally different from the assumptions that we had. So it tells me a lot about not only about your design process, but also about how good you are on taking on sudden changes, and how your personality is to dealing with those. And I suppose I ask more about that because I work on more in startups as much, and in startups, like, products just like change every day, and the specs, they're always changing, and you have to be able to deal with those things in a good way. So I think that's one question. I don't know.
That's a good question. That's a good question. I ask different kind of questions in different stages of my interview process, but at the first one, I usually care, why does that person wants to work with us?
Yeah,
because
that's good. Yeah.
I need to see a resonation, because there has to be a good cause. Because what I have realized is, if there's no good resonation, if it is just for the sake of a job, it is usually not the greatest relationship to begin with. So I care about why people would like to work with us. That's one thing. And I asked for the design process. How would they describe an ideal design process? That is something I ask a lot because I like to see how they approach problems. And then I like to ask what are the strongest skill set they see in those process, and what are the skill sets they would like to improve. So I can see not only what we can like get as an experience to our company's skill set, but also what we can teach to that person so that that designer could be a better designer. These are the questions I like to ask a lot.
Yeah, I think I usually don't have like a list of questions that I always ask. I feel like it's, you start like depending on the projects that they have worked on. I always love to, so what is your favorite project that you have worked on? And let's talk about that, you know, and then they'll go and they'll talk about the things that really interest them, you know? It, for example, for some people it will be about the process. For some people it will be about the people they worked on. For some people it will be about the craft. So you get to know a little bit more about what is that trigger that turns them on. And I don't know, it's like usually interviews, like for me, are really organic and really informal. I don't have like a set of questions. I'm the worst, I think.
No,
but I just let people,
everyone is a different way.
let people talk, you know?
I think that's the best thing one can do, because while talking, you get to discover a lot about the people, their process, their thinking, and themselves and their skills. Hey, there is one great idea here. David suggested maybe next episode we can tear down of great and not that great examples of portfolios. And then many people agree.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea. I wouldn't want to I mean, send us your portfolios if you want to.
Man,
you want it to be turned down.
That would be tough, though. Yeah,
I wouldn't want to turn down someone online. We're just like for anyone to see.
We have to really remove the names and such. I wouldn't like to discourage anyone because like where you are now is not necessarily what you can become, and it would be very unfair for us to dissect that. But yeah, if you have any suggestions, like send us your portfolio, we can review it for you.
Yeah, we could probably do if you're up to it, if you don't care if we destroy it.
No, we're not.
We wouldn't be destroying it. Obviously not. I'm just saying.
On.
But obviously we will approach it as a design review. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, why not?
But
I would be really ashamed if someone like reviewed my portfolio.
Yeah, and usually you want design reviews to have a conversation. You don't just want to shit on people, you know. Sure. I don't want to just talk about someone else's design without them being present to tell me more about like those things that I'm not understanding why they took that decision, you know. So yeah, probably we'll think about that.
All right. Hey, there are lots of actually great conversation going on there. And are there any questions that, like, David is very up that we take a look at his portfolio?
Okay, David UX.
We'll definitely take a look at David. Maybe next episode.
I'm looking at it already, dude. I'm doing it. David UX, work about contact. You have 2 projects. Oh no, he has more projects, dude.
Oh, horizontal scroll. David, don't do it.
Yeah, man. I actually thought you only had 2 projects, and then I realized that...
Yeah, man. The horizontal scroll, I can send you lots of articles about it, is not a great user interaction. People don't expect it.
Unless it's an app or something.
Yeah, I mean, given context, yes. But on web, users don't expect to have horizontal scroll.
Yeah, I thought it was only 2 projects, and then, you go... horizontally.
Yeah, that would be like one thing that right away we can tell you.
Okay, let's talk about the good things. Okay, let's talk about it later, David. Okay, we just already told you one bad thing. I like that it's simple. I like that that you're keeping everything in like a mock-up. Let's actually go into one. Okay, you're showing.
Oh, it's my role. I saw that. My role. The needs, key findings. Dude, that's cool. Yeah, good.
There you go. And you're combining both things where you're talking and you're also showing pictures. I think that's
it. Just horizontal scroll. It turns me off so bad right away.
He has an interactive prototype too.
Oh, InVision. Uh-huh.
Okay, that shows that you you're putting your skills into work, and you're letting me play around with your design. That's actually I appreciate when they share a prototype. That's actually a good thing.
Definitely.
Your prototype. Okay. Anyway, cool. We'll email you about it, David.
Yeah, we will do that.
Okay, I think it's an hour, man.
Yes, we're way over our time. We actually love that there's an amazing conversation going on, and I want to join there, but I cannot really look here and then talk to you guys. So maybe we can go through your comments and try to answer them later on, or maybe next episode we can try to go through them. Seems like this portfolio is an interesting thing.
Yeah,
That people, there are lots of things to talk about.
we have a Facebook page.
Yeah, you can also ask us on our Facebook page. You want to send the? Should I send the link there?
Facebook is fb.com/design Sundays.
Sundays or Sunday? Sunday. Just
Hold on,
check
hold
it.
on.
Don't double check. Don't send them the wrong one.
Yeah, I don't want to send the wrong one.
And that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
You can ask us there.
I'm adding a link to our Facebook page, and just ask us there. We'll probably put a poll on what the next subject should be. Probably we can put a poll on our Facebook page.
Yeah.
And we'll list different subjects, and then you can vote. And next weekend we can talk about it.
Definitely, that's a good idea. And we definitely would be happy to continue our conversation with you guys on Facebook. Just ask questions, and we'll get back to you. Hey, that's
Thank
a
you
great
so
idea,
much.
man.
Yeah, we can about the different things, and
I like
they can
that.
suggest.
Thank you very much, guys. We really appreciate this late in the evening, or maybe really early in the morning.
Yeah, depending
thank
on-
you very much for wherever you are, that you just spent your time with us. See you next week, huh?
Okay, let's just stop this. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day, good evening. Bye now.
Okay.